Part 5. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 41. The border logistics base is built on a small group of rocky asteroids. This group of 17 or 18 asteroids ranges in size from a few kilometers to tens of kilometers, and they travel through the universe at basically the same speed. The buildings of the base are scattered on each asteroid. The returning reconnaissance fleet also stops nearby to keep the relative speed still. There are currently 4 reconnaissance fleets parked near the base. People don't need to drive a spacecraft to go from one asteroid to another. They can fly directly with the jet system of the spacesuit. Many people like to fly back and forth for fun. The maintenance department is built on an asteroid. After landing, Xiaoming activated the magnetic shoes and stopped. There are about 7 or 8 assembly rooms nearby. Xiaoming landed and swiped his ID card. The ground had a fluorescent display path, leading Xiaoming into one of them. Inside the house, there was a 3-meter-high construction engineering robot, and 2 people in maintenance clothes were flying around the room to repair it. Several people were wearing sealed clothing. In fact, in the entire base, the only place with an air circulation device is probably the living area. You have to wear a sealed suit in other places. Seeing someone coming in, the 2 maintenance workers flew down, activated the magnetic shoes and stood in front of Xiaoming. Through the glass of the mask, you can see that the 2 men on the opposite side are both in their 40s. A little disappointed. Xiaoming was still looking forward to an old hermit with a beautiful granddaughter. It can only be said that the YY heart of the otaku never stops. After listening to Xiaoming's idea, the 2 uncles were very happy. It was rare that there were young people who didn't like fighting but liked mechanical maintenance. Immediately began to practice teaching on the spot, how to repair engineering robots. In this hour, Xiaoming accompanied the 2 uncles to repair 5 robots, and it felt that they could make one in reality. This is of course an illusion, but the engineering robots are indeed not beyond the technical level of the new Han Kingdom. Xiaoming left the secret realm with a full sense of accomplishment. Back to personal space. This sense of accomplishment not only comes from learning mechanical repair, but also a great surprise from the game of Arctic ice cubes that he has been playing. While learning with the 2 uncles, Xiaoming did not stop playing. Finally, he played until he died in this game. If he persists long enough and gets good enough results, the game will give him a high score reward, the NESA 6 type auxiliary mechanical arm guard. This is a universal game equipment that can be used in the Magic Planet and other secret realms with mechanical creations. It is put on the player's arm like an arm guard, and up to 8 small mechanical arms can be extended from it, which looks like an octopus, and the tip can be connected to a variety of small tools. The mechanical arm can be controlled by the player's consciousness or by the built-in auxiliary intelligent program. The auxiliary intelligent program will be different depending on the level of technology entering the game. The most exciting thing is that each of Xiaoming's 4 characters in the Magic Planet will have a mechanical arm guard. It turns out that if you play well in the secret realm, you will get this kind of benefit. You should take the secret realm more seriously in the future. It is a good habit to use superpowers frequently. The basic material of the reinforced mechanical arm guard has been upgraded to liquid metal. It can be deformed at will, and it is more flexible and convenient to use. It is no longer just for auxiliary use, and it is not difficult to turn it into a weapon and armor. But it has not yet obtained the additional attributes of the game, only the basic attributes. Xiaoming secretly hoped that it could be upgraded to nanometal material, but unfortunately it didn't come true. After playing with NESA 6 for a while, Xiaoming was so excited that he couldn't fall asleep. He entered the secret realm several times before his excitement calmed down. Most of the secret realms he entered were not for NESA. He played casually and couldn't concentrate, so he quit when the time was up. For the secret realms of the minigame type, you can basically quit if you don't know how to play. Some require 5 minutes, and the story-type secret realms require at least 10 minutes before you can quit. There are also those that require longer time. At the same time, the expansion pack is not the only entrance to the secret realm. There will also be secret realm entry points inside the Magic Planet game. These will be slowly known in the process of Xiaoming's future exploration of the secret realm. The last time he entered was finally a scientific secret realm. Xiaoming chose the initial identity of a maintenance worker in the army, but found that he didn't know anything except repairing engineering robots, and he couldn't even repair the guns on hand. Now his excitement finally cooled down. It turns out that if there is no corresponding knowledge, Neza will be wasted in his hands. What kind of secret realm is this? Xiaoming didn't have enough information. He only knew that his country was called America, and the language he spoke was English, a minor language on Pangustar, and it seemed a bit strange. The citizens were of various nationalities, black, white, and yellow. He was the most numerous pretty boy among them, and his name was Henry Smith. Why wasn't he a yellow man? Were they trying to discriminate against me? Would he lose at the starting line? He really thought too much. In the army, he learned that it was now 1943 AD. What the hell is AD? The whole world was fighting the Second World War. The army's equipment was indeed a bit old. It couldn't be compared with the space fleet of the new Han Kingdom, and it was about 100 years behind the general level of Pangustar. I won't go into the background setting in depth. When Xiaoming has the opportunity to see the world map in the future, he will know that the distribution of land and ocean in this world is the same as his world. Xiaoming decided to take the initiative to find the logistics department to learn about the mechanical knowledge of this world. On the way, he saw a troop training on the playground, and one of the little guys kept making a fool of himself. Is there something wrong with this kid? He is also a soldier with this kind of physical fitness. Xiaoming didn't have time to care and continued to go to the logistics department. In the war era, there are inevitably some unqualified soldiers in the army. It's okay if they are not willing to learn. The black maintenance man still took good care of him. He took Xiaoming to repair and maintain the guns while explaining. So Xiaoming missed all the important roles and plots perfectly. He did more than half an hour of physical work with great interest and fell asleep in a daze. Then he automatically exited the game and continued to rest in the game cabin. I seem to dream about my parents in the middle of the night. I hope that you two old people can live a happy future life after thawing in the future. A few hours later, Xiaoming woke up from the game cabin. It was already the early morning of June 8th. In the living room, on the dining table is breakfast bought from the street, including steamed buns, fried dough sticks, soy milk, and pickles. The impact of technology on food is not that great. Brother Wen is eating a lot, and he is having a quarrel with Xiaojing across from him. He keeps bragging, and Xiaojing keeps quarreling back, but he never gets tired of it. Seeing Xiaoming coming over, Xiaojing thought she had waited for her savior. Where did you go last night? Did you go home in the middle of the night? I went home. Why are you nagging more than my mother? I went to the movies with my friends. Watching a movie with friends. A man or a woman? Before Xiaoming could speak, Zhang Wen on the other side could not sit still. A woman. What's that expression on your face? Even if it's a man, it's none of your business. My brother didn't say anything. Xiaojing looked disgusted. Your brother is confused, an old virgin, he doesn't know shit. I tell you. How can this be a personal attack? Xiaoming looked at the noisy two, helpless, and he shouldn't have asked too much. These two guys, who are 20 years apart in age, don't know what's wrong with them, they quarrel whenever they meet. I dare not get involved in this kind of war. Hurry up and eat, I want to play games. Xiaoming ate his food. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 42. Due to the intense battle, Xiaoming hurriedly finished his meal and hid in the game cabin, forgetting to mention the secret realm to his sister. I guess Xiaopeng will definitely mention it, and he will definitely get beaten. But, even if it helps him lose weight. As soon as he entered the game space, a projection of a game automatically appeared on Xiaoming's left hand. This was added by Maomoer at Xiaoming's request. Basically, whenever he was free, he would load a game similar to Arctic Ice on his left hand. This time, it was a dodgeball game, which was pretty good and fun, so let's play it. At this time, I should have logged into Xiaoming and went to the Yellow Emperor Galaxy to learn the basic knowledge about Quafu. But Xiaoming had a lot of fun in the secret realm yesterday, and told Maomoer to notify him when the magic planet started. He plunged into the secret realm again. This guy only has this little perseverance. This secret realm is even weirder. The people here are yellow people, and their clothes are a bit similar to Hanfu, but a little different. Xiaoming really has never heard of the language here, so he had to load the translation system to understand it. The technology here seems to be pretty good, and electricity has been used on a large scale, but the building style is very old, rustic. Looking around, it looks like a larger village. I wandered around the village for more than half an hour and eavesdropped on many conversations before I got a general idea. This village seems to be called Konoha. The main combat profession in the village is called ninja, and the village chief seems to be called Hokage. The villagers' names are also weird, Hokage and Konoha. Are they planning to tire the fire department to death? Don't they even consider a good omen? Xiaoming stood in front of the Hokage rock, looking up at several huge heads. I complained in my heart, this village is so poor, and they still built such a big head, which is a waste of money and labor. The people are living in misery and preparing for an uprising. Will this be the main quest? I can only say that this otaku is really overthinking. But don't worry, with Xiaoming's laziness, it is impossible for him to start a revolution. Don't worry about him being killed easily because of this. Xiaoming's identity here is just a 10-year-old blacksmith's son named Tianming. At the beginning of the system, he was actually given the option of a student at the ninja school, but he didn't know what a ninja was, so he didn't dare to choose it. He wanted to start from a familiar place first. The intelligence collection is almost done, so I'll go home to learn blacksmithing. I'm afraid there's nothing good to forge in this broken place. So I turned around and went home, and passed by the male protagonist who was carrying paint. So it's not easy to play a game without a strategy. When I got home, I thought my cheap blacksmith father Tiangang would teach me some advanced forging technology, but my father said that if I want to learn forging, I have to go to the ninja school to learn chakra first. Xiaoming is a little older, it doesn't matter if he can audit the lower grades. Chakra? Are you planning to let me dig diamonds in the future? Unable to resist, Xiaoming was forcibly sent to school. After taking a basic course, I finally know what chakra is. The ability of people in this world to give names is a bit awkward. Isn't it good to call it Tiandi Yuan Kai or Universe Yuan Li? I tried the basic chakra extraction method taught by the school, but it didn't work after a long time. I almost farted. It seems that my talent in this area seems, probably, and may not be very good. I tried to extract chakra and use superpowers at the same time. Wow, it was super smooth. Xiaoming was impatient. The natives also had to practice for a period of time before they could extract smoothly. He was bored after more than 10 minutes. However, the golden finger was still powerful. It was not too easy for his superpowers to imitate energy-related things. For beginners like them, the extracted chakra would soon dissipate if it was not used. So Xiaoming guided the chakra into Neza's arm guard on his right hand. Neza took it all without hesitation. Because everything was done too smoothly and too quickly. The teacher in the class did not notice Xiaoming, a top student. Continue the class. It was time to activate the magic planet. Xiaoming exited the secret realm and logged into the role of the researcher. The researcher drifting on the unknown sea was undoubtedly the role that Xiaoming was most worried about. The researcher stayed in the canoe for more than 10 minutes and found that it was calm and there was nothing to do. It was too boring. He didn't dare to practice skills with the materials. Who knows when these materials will be used? It was relatively safe to sit in the four-puppet canoe. Since he didn't know his position, Xiaoming didn't dare to choose a direction and paddle all the way. The canoe didn't have a sail, so he had to float. Xiaoming didn't want to teleport away. Who knows what tasks he might encounter here? Xiao came to be in a daze. And make settings. If you encounter danger, notify yourself when you see other ships or land. Xiaoming switched to the Explorer. The Explorer welcomed the guest, shopkeeper Huo, early here, and followed him to another villa. It was much larger than the original small courtyard, but the layout was similar. The courtyard was bigger, the bamboo building was bigger, the bamboo forest was more lush, and the pond was wider. Xiaoming liked it more. Shopkeeper Huo settled Xiaoming, said a few words of gossip, and left. Xiaoming began to make weapons commonly used by ascetics. Originally, he planned to make a few weapons at the end of each day to see how much mental power he had left, and then complete the task after a few days. But now he found that there is a secret realm after the game ends. It would be meaningless to wait until the end to make weapons, and the secret realm might even require superpowers. While he is free now, he will complete the task of collecting universal weapons issued by Mr. Guo. When Xiaoming started this task, he was not collecting, but making universal weapons. During the first 2 days of the game, Xiaoming gradually found some rules for superpower manufacturing. It was known that using materials would save mental power. Adding more restrictions to the items you make would also save mental power. For example, making a crossbow that can be used by all professions consumes more, while making a crossbow that can only be used by the priest profession consumes much less. These are just feelings, and now is a good time to verify them. More than an hour later, all 10 universal weapons were made. Xiaoming made crossbows, so he is more familiar with it. Neza also played a huge role in this process. With the help of the mechanical arm, the quality of the items made is higher. Xiaoming also found that the more restrictions, the better. For example, he wanted to make a weapon that he could only use, but it seemed that he needed to consume a lot of mental power, so he didn't dare to really do it. The critical point is exactly the cheapest weapon of the same type in the game. Making it saves the most mental power. To increase or reduce restrictions, you need to consume more superpowers. It feels quite reasonable. Therefore, making a crossbow for the ascetic monk requires a little more mental power than this. But Xiaoming still found a way to save money, that is, to reduce the quality. Making weapons with a limited use time will reduce a lot of mental power consumption. This is perfect. This can reflect one's importance. The last 3 of the 10 ascetic monks' universal crossbows can only be used for about a year. In this way, I can get a long-term contract. And the function of this weapon is to practice the ability to use the crossbow when the ascetic monk is at a low level. When the ascetic monk is upgraded, as long as he can be upgraded to a strong crossbow ascetic monk, he will not need the crossbow, and the rattan stick will automatically provide the function of the crossbow. In this way, I have good intentions. This shameless person. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 43. Zhang Xiaoming activated the communication crystal stone left by Mr. Guo, and it was Mr. Guo who answered the call himself. Such a great bishop didn't even have an assistant. He was indeed an ascetic monk. When he heard that the explorer had completed the task of collecting universal weapons, and all of them were universal crossbows, Mr. Guo was overjoyed. After asking for the explorer's address, he said that he would take people to Wushan town immediately and arrive in 2 hours. Please ask the explorer to be at home by then. Listening to Mr. Guo's tone, he was going to make a contribution. But he couldn't just wait for 2 hours. Xiaoming walked out of the door while playing the secret game with his left hand. If he switched roles, he was afraid of encountering important things. It's better to control the explorer to go out for a walk. By the way, open the map. Passing by the square, I saw Yukan Dongfang Balayang. He made friends with the role of the researcher. The researcher is now in exile at sea. It seems that this line will be cold for a while. Seeing that brother Dongfang seemed to be looking for someone, he was not looking for the researcher, right? Xiaoming notified the intelligent program Xiao Sier to send a private message to Dongfang Buliang to explain. As for Yang Yang's speculation that the researcher might have another adventure after receiving the information, and thus developed a sour grape mentality, Xiaoming did not know. The career hall in Wushan town has many more functions than that in Biang village. Biang village is only responsible for choosing careers and changing to first-level careers. The career hall in Wushan town has its own halls for the 4 basic professions and some special professions. In addition to the receptionist, there will also be career mentors, and the mentors are all second and third level professionals. In addition to helping players change their careers, mentors are also responsible for imparting professional skills and issuing tasks for their professions. It is no longer like in the village, where everyone makes do with issuing tasks in the training ground. Since the ascetic monks have a certain influence in this town, the ascetic monks also have a separate career hall. If the explorer did not have a good relationship with Mr. Guo at the beginning, and Mr. Guo directly helped him change his career, then the normal procedure is that Mr. Guo will give a letter of recommendation and take it to the career hall to find the ascetic monk mentor to change his career. Xiaoming chatted with the ascetic mentor for a few words. The explorer has not reached the level to learn new skills, and he has not seen any suitable tasks. High-level tasks require fighting, and Xiaoming does not have time for this for the time being. Since the explorer is a strong crossbow ascetic, the mentor is very friendly to him. They discussed some experiences with each other. Xiaoming did not know what the mentor gained, but Xiaoming's ascetic skills experience had improved to varying degrees. Xiaoming returned the favor and gave the mentor 2 pieces of ascetic barbecue before leaving. They were remade after being looted by Huo Yingde, and there are not many stocks on hand. I went to other temples, restaurants, inns, etc., but I didn't see anything special. A little special is a weapons shop. The shop is nothing special. There are several very good weapons in it. The quality exceeds the standard weapons and has reached the green excellent level. The explorer played with them for a while and saw that the handles of these weapons had traces of marks being worn away. There was a problem, so the explorer bought several weapons calmly and put them in his backpack. I didn't continue to stroll around and returned home. It would definitely not be used for archaeology, and the appraisal didn't reveal anything. Xiaoming took out some materials and used his superpowers to repair and strengthen them. All the weapons were upgraded to the blue excellent level, which was as it should be. The important thing is that the marks on the handles of these weapons have been restored, which is a word tang. Tang. Xiaoming thought for a long time, and suddenly remembered that there was a blacksmith named Tang in Biang village, but now he is no longer working. The details are unclear, and he seems to have a hard life. Is there any connection between them? After the matter of Mr. Guo is over, I must go back to Biang village. There is less than an hour before Mr. Guo arrives, and Xiaoming doesn't want to go out for a stroll. Let's practice skills. So he walked to the yard, thought about it, activated the water repellent beads, and walked into the pool of the new house to see what was there. As a result, there was nothing except a little rubbish. If there were dead people in 2 consecutive houses, Xiaoming should consider running away. With a little regret, Xiaoming went to the yard and began to practice various skills. At the same time, he did not forget to throw 2 identification spells around at any time. Just when Xiaoming was getting into the groove and had some feel for using the cane, the servant outside came to report that Guolao and others had arrived. Xiaoming thought that Guolao was deliberately giving him face. As an ascetic monk, he did not need to change his clothes, so he immediately went to the door to greet him. When he arrived at the door, Guolao was standing in front of the door with 3 ascetic monks whose ranks Xiaoming could not see. He hurriedly stepped forward to greet them, and then led the 4 people into the bamboo building and sat down in the living room. He dismissed the servants and took out clean water and barbecue to entertain the few people. It would be stupid not to take it. After the servants left, the few people did not care about the water on the table. A short old man behind Guolao waved his hand and cast a spell, probably to prevent peeping and eavesdropping. Then Guolao hurriedly asked the explorer to take out the weapons. Xiaoming did not say much and immediately placed 10 weapons on the table. The 4 people on the opposite side immediately picked them up to check. Some of them picked up more than 1 weapon. After checking the one in their hands, they put it down and picked up other weapons to check. They kept using the identification technique. After a long time, everyone probably looked at each weapon more than twice. The 4 looked at each other. Mr. Guo spoke first. "If I am not mistaken, young man, you are amazing. You made these weapons yourself, right?" Xiaoming did not intend to hide this. Mr. Guo has a keen eye. "These weapons are indeed made by me. It seems that they are my divine power. But the production is indeed very costly." "Great. Can you show us your ability on the spot, if it's not too presumptuous?" A tall middle-aged man beside Mr. Guo hurriedly interrupted. After he said that, he seemed to feel something was wrong, so he added a sentence and looked at Mr. Guo with a little shame. Mr. Guo didn't care. "Brother explorer, don't blame this big guy for being abrupt. This matter is really important to the ascetic monks as a whole. After receiving your message, I, an old guy, didn't confirm it first, and brought these key people here. I think you also know how much we value it. If you can you demonstrate it on the spot?" Not to mention the embarrassment of the 3 people who were teased by Mr. Guo, Mr. Guo added another sentence. "We really need to know your ability to continuously provide weapons to avoid this being a trap set by other guys for the ascetic monks." Oh, when Mr. Guo said that, Xiaoming suddenly realized it. He really didn't consider this point, and it was indeed a practical problem. Of course, he didn't mind showing it to the NPC. If it was a human, he might worry about something. There is no such worry about the NPC in the game, because his backer is the game mastermind Nine-Tailed Fox. It has known Xiaoming's ability for a long time. The explorer nodded, sorted out a blank area on the table, took out the corresponding materials and put them away, posed, and then activated his superpowers. This time Xiaoming did not use Neza, and deliberately delayed the time. When the explorer finished his work, a brand new ascetic crossbow appeared on the table. It was still the kind of low-quality crossbow with a useful life of about 1 year. Xiaoming smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry, the kid is not in a good condition now. The things he made are a bit rough. Forgive me, forgive me." Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 44. The 4 people's expressions were extremely exciting when they saw the explorer making the ascetic crossbow. Mr. Guo was surprised and relieved, the tall man was shocked and ecstatic, the short old man looked unbelievable, and the last middle-aged lady covered her mouth with excitement, as if tears were about to flow. Although Xiaoming knew that this was a big deal, he did not expect the reaction of these masters to be so big. Except for Mr. Guo, the other 3 people gathered around, and a lot of words came out of their mouths like a string of cannons. Xiaoming was stunned and did not hear a single word clearly. After a long time of chaos, Mr. Guo stopped the three people's behavior. Then he pulled Xiaoming to explain the situation and signed a treaty. Speaking of it, the status of ascetics has always been embarrassing, or the overall strength of ascetics should be that status. Melee is not as good as melee professions such as swordsmen and knights, long-range combat is basically zero, magic is not as good as mages and priests, and because they cannot stack equipment, they are a bit embarrassing in all aspects. The significance of its existence is that the requirements are relatively low, and the resources consumed for training are few. It is a standard poor profession. It is conceivable how other professionals view the ascetic monks as a group. There is still a necessity for existence, but the status is not very good. It is a little stronger than cheap cannon fodder, but not as many as cannon fodder. In terms of arms, it is impossible to build a city independently. Mr. Guo also popularized the concept of building a city for the explorers. Each race has many arms, and each arm has many branches. The general form of racial city building is to find a balance between multiple arms. Basically, it takes the stronger rank of each arm, which refers to the comprehensive consideration of quantity and single strength. In terms of strength, of course, the higher the rank, the stronger it is, and the number is still an important consideration. Some powerful arms can build cities independently or jointly. The arms composition of this kind of city is different branches of one or several arms. The more powerful arms almost all build cities independently or jointly. Infantry, archers, cavalry, mages, priests, and even some branches of some arms like swordsmen and alchemists are eligible to build cities independently. There is competition and cooperation between arms, but they are not strongly opposed. For example, although the independent city of infantry does not produce other arms such as archers and cavalry, it will still hire some. They will not only have infantry for the sake of face. They are not that stupid. Building a city independently is just a representation of strength. How embarrassing is the status of the ascetic monk? There are no ascetic monks in the ordinary version of the human city. Ascetic monks temporarily only exist in the independent city of priests, and they can be built or not. In view of this situation, the high-level ascetic monks are eager to get rid of this embarrassing status as a whole. The strength of the ascetic monks comes from the advancement of inherited equipment. Just like the explorer who advances from an ordinary ascetic monk to a strong crossbow ascetic monk. The strong ones among the ascetic monks have been advanced several times and are very high-end combat power. But they cannot become an arm. The overall advancement of the ascetics is not satisfactory. The advancement of the inherited equipment is relatively difficult. This is also the reason why the advancement of the explorer is valued. Therefore, the high-level ascetics have been committed to creating a variety of ascetic soldiers and creating a diverse training mechanism. Cultivating a long-range ascetic soldier is one of the shortcuts. The upper level of the ascetics also has different opinions on this issue. Some ascetics also want to jointly build a city with other minority soldiers. Guo Lao's faction is not willing to accept it. Jointly building a city may not be much better than the current situation of relying on the priest profession. Iron must be hard, and improving the strength of the ascetics is the hard truth. If the strength of the self is not improved, it will be very disadvantageous after the joint city construction, and the right to speak is also limited. It is not easy to improve the strength. Finally, there is a way in front of us. If the primary ascetics use general crossbows as much as possible, will there be a certain probability of advancement to strong crossbow ascetics like explorers? Even if the probability is only 20% to 30%, or even 10%, it is powerful enough to change the occupation structure of the ascetic monks. And this will also become a trigger. Can the same method be used to advance the magician ascetic monks, knight ascetic monks, etc. in batches? So everyone can understand the importance that Guo Lao and others attach to this matter. After proving that explorers can independently make universal weapons for ascetic monks, everyone is ecstatic. The idea of using universal weapons to increase the chance of advancement of ascetic monks has long existed. However, it is very difficult to make universal weapons, and it requires masters. But masters make more money by making high-level weapons. What ascetic monks need is low-level equipment. You can ask them to make 1 or 2 pieces, but the master can't afford to lose that person by mass-producing low-level equipment. Of course, there are some inside stories. There must be people who don't want the status of ascetic monks to be improved. There is also destruction from the enemy. At the same time, a large number of craftsmen are occupied by other professions. Because ascetic monks do not need equipment as a whole, they all use inherited equipment. It is conceivable what the attitude of the craftsman group towards ascetic monks will be. Now the ascetics have their own people who can make universal equipment, and it is a divine power. This is the reward from the God of Light to the ascetics. With a large amount of equipment, not only can the ascetics' dream of mass advancement be realized, but there are also a large number of experimental products for the ascetics to study and train craftsmen. This is the feeling of a lifelong dream being realized. Next is the time to sign the contract. How to ensure that the explorers are always loyal to the ascetics group. It is definitely unrealistic to lock Xiaoming up and force him to make equipment. NPCs know the characteristics of adventurers. So what should we do? Mr. Guo directly accepted the explorer as his youngest true disciple, giving him status. And enjoyed sufficient preferential treatment, giving him money. And hid the news in all aspects, keeping him safe. And also assigned the explorer 2 high-level shadow warriors who did not take up space, both ensuring safety and monitoring. Finally, a life-saving spell was added. Once a fatal blow was suffered, it would be activated immediately. In addition to saving his life, the explorer would be transferred to the ascetic monk headquarters, finally insurance. These generous conditions were enough to make the unhappiness of being monitored disappear, although the shadow warriors only ensured safety and did not help him fight. But in this case, it would be a miracle if the player could not find a loophole. Besides, Xiaoming did not want to find a loophole too much, and he did not play games in this way. There are also some limitations to NPC monitoring. Players certainly do not have embarrassing things like excretion and bathing in the game, but there is a function of he. Monitoring is definitely not allowed at this time. At the same time, the explorer's bedroom is also outside the surveillance range, giving him a private space. Of course, there is no protection without loopholes, and Mr. Guo will have other arrangements behind the scenes. But for Xiaoming, it is enough. The worst case scenario is that this role is no longer used, and we still have 3 roles. Who is afraid of who? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 45. In addition to protection and surveillance, mission rewards are still given. Especially for this kind of mission. In order to encourage Xiaoming, the rewarded experience directly pushed the explorer's level to level 10, and the gold coins also came to 1000. This is really a lot. Guo Lao also added and integrated several staff skills that Xiaoming mastered into a complete staff skill of the ascetic monk. Its attack and defense are extraordinary. The rank of the staff skill is Blue Excellent. It seems that it is not easy to learn the entire staff skill. The 2 shadow warriors are protecting in secret and do not meet Xiaoming. Xiaoming does not know who they are. As a true disciple of Guo Lao, Xiaoming has some privileges in the ascetic monk and Guo Lao's faction. At the same time, there is an optional supply of gold coins and special materials every week, which is paid by the Huo's Chamber of Commerce. The worship status in the Huo's Chamber of Commerce has also been raised by 1 level to C level. Xiaoming's obligation is to make nearly 3 general crossbows on average every day, and put 20 crossbows in the living room of the home every Sunday. If you move, find a similar location. The shadow warrior will quietly take it away and leave 1,000 gold coins. The internal supply price cannot be too expensive. Xiaoming's focus is no longer on this. He pulled Guo Lao to ask about the independent city building of his arms. The reason is obvious. On the strategic map, if the informant can independently build a city with only skeletons, it seems to be more beneficial for the informant. Guo Lao told him that if a single army city is built, it is necessary to go to the main city of that arm in the adventure map, where there should be clues. There is also a stupid way, that is, after the ordinary city is built, no military camps of other arms are built, and the existing ones must be demolished, leaving only a single arm. The hero completely develops advanced arms branches by himself. And at least one developed advanced arm is placed in the barracks. Over time, the barracks will slowly accept this arm until it starts to produce this arm. The premise of everything is that there are no barracks of other arms in the city. These two ways sound very reliable, and Xiaoming nodded to accept the advice. Mr. Guo and his friends asked again to see Xiaoming make a universal crossbow. Then the four people left in a hurry with 12 crossbows with a satisfied look on their faces. Xiaoming realized that Mr. Guo did not introduce these three people to him. He prepared speculative food and water by himself, but did not attract any attention. After such a long time, Xiaoming thought that he should go to the strategic map to have a look, so he switched to the dead. The dead were still in the funnel village. As soon as he switched, the 1,000 gold coins produced today were credited. The mobility has been restored a lot, and it will recover faster in his own city. If the city is built better, the recovery speed will be faster. According to what Mr. Guo said, Xiaoming put one crossbow skeleton soldier and one spear and shield skeleton soldier into the evil temple. The dead can use superpowers to change the weapons and equipment of the skeleton soldiers, but cannot increase the level of the skeleton soldiers. You must have a second-level skeleton soldier before you can continue to develop the second-level skeleton soldiers. Xiaoming has a second-level swordsman, so he puts it in the evil temple. It seems that we should go to the adventure map to see if we can buy more skeleton soldiers. But before that, Xiaoming still has some ideas to experiment with. Of course, we went to the tavern first, but it was still empty. There was not enough time. A corpse was taken out from the warehouse, which was the corpse found in the pond of the explorer's previous house. He was the one who had been a worshipper of the Huo's Chamber of Commerce and died after stealing things. Using the death harvest, Xiaoming got a second-level skeleton soldier, the skeleton thief, as expected. The chance of getting a soldier after harvesting the corpse of this kind of NPC with a plot may be higher. Of course, this soldier has no memory of the previous life. But whether to put the soldier in the evil temple is a bit of a headache. The combat power of the skeleton thief is actually not much stronger than that of ordinary skeleton soldiers, and the speed is slightly faster, but not much faster. There is only one good skill, reconnaissance, which can check the number of opponents, the type of soldiers, whether they will surrender, and other information. The accuracy of the reconnaissance depends on the number of thieves. The more the number, the more accurate the information. Oh, so the number is also the key. Then there is nothing to say, just put it in. The last experiment, 4 skeleton canoe. Since skeleton soldiers can be strengthened, this type of soldier has something in common with puppets to a certain extent. Then the 4 puppet canoe made by the researcher is a signal. Can skeleton soldiers do it? Just try it and you will know. The deceased prepared a large number of skeletons and skeleton soldiers, recalling the feeling when the researcher built the ship, and activated the superpower. It took a lot of mental energy, but it didn't work. Xiaoming thought about it and settled for the second best. He only used skeletons and superpowers. This time, he consumed a lot of skeletons and superpowers, but he successfully made a bone boat. The bone boat is a primary small boat that can carry troops with 200 command power. The command power here is still calculated according to the hero, and the general's troops are still calculated as 50, although it doesn't seem very reasonable. But the system is set up like this. As for games, the system settings are the standard. Well, Xiaoming thought, maybe that kind of ship of military nature cannot appear. This pure small boat can. The deceased did not gain the skill of shipbuilding, but built a ship. It is still not possible without the corresponding profession. In the future, you still need to consume superpowers to build a ship. Anyway, it is good to have a ship. You don't need to build a dock for the time being. This kind of city near the water has water areas, which are reserved for docks. Xiaoming's self-made boat of course appeared in the water. Let's go to the water for a turn, and leave a strong crossbow skeleton soldier to guard the village. The whole army boarded the ship to explore the sea. The quest character Vampire also boarded the ship. The nearby sea surface has been illuminated by the lighthouse on the island in the lake. Xiaoming chose to go up, north, first, trying to collect all the resources on the water. Occasionally, he would land and pick up the resources and things by the water, and visit all the nearby buildings one by one. Harvest resources and some gold coins. On land, he occupied a stone mine and a lumber yard. These two are not far from Funnel Village, so Xiaoming did not bind them to the truck of the deceased. Met a cartographer on the water and spent 1,000 gold coins to buy the full water map of this map. It is indeed a bean-shaped lake in the center of the map, with a river connecting the upper and lower parts to the edge of the map. Things on the water are clear at a glance. Rescue a survivor at sea and get the first level treasure Centaur Battle Axe. Equip it and get strategic attack add 2. Visit the buoy, morale add 1 is only effective for the swordsman subordinates of General Han Dong. The same goes for the courage medal in the backpack. There are a few corpses on the shore. One of them was harvested by death and turned into an ordinary first-level skeleton soldier. This success is good, but it's really meaningless to only get a skeleton soldier. Several battles were fought on land, all of which were easily won. The force has also increased. We actually encountered a group of pirates at sea. The pirates' ship was anchored in the middle of the lake. Maybe the ship was broken. If it were an ordinary undead player, he would have to go forward and fight a boarding battle. But Xiaoming has a strong crossbow skeleton soldier. One side anchored and couldn't move, while the other side's ship could move, and there were also long-range archers. It seemed that the victory or defeat was clear at a glance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 46. The water battle in the Magic Planet game is different from the previous games. It will not directly enter the boarding state. There is still a water battle. On the water battlefield, both sides control their own warships to move. You can use the warship's artillery to bombard each other from a distance. You can get closer and use the ship's long-range fire. You can also rush to the boarding battle under the artillery and bows and arrows. After boarding, the rules are almost the same as those of land battles. Now the opponent can't move, and Xiaoming doesn't know whether the opponent has artillery and long range, although there are not many soldiers on the deck. 20 or so are ordinary human pirates, and the highest is only level 2. Xiaoming drove the boat closer and tried with long-range bows and arrows. After all the pirates on the deck were eliminated. When Xiaoming wanted to approach and occupy the ship to harvest the spoils, Katagiri Kiiwin stopped him. As a genuine undead zombie, Katagiri could feel that there were still many living beings on that ship. This is a trap. Xiaoming was horrified and broke out in a cold sweat. Skeleton sweating. I am still a loser in essence. Faced with this situation, even if no one reminds him, a normal commander should be careful, right? Xiaoming immediately stopped the warship from moving forward and fired arrows collectively, hoping to completely destroy the ship with arrows. "I'll drown you." Xiaoming secretly held his breath. After continuing to attack for a long time, the other side probably saw that the informant could not be fooled. A large group of pirates rushed to the deck. Some of them shot with bows, and other groups of pirates jumped into the water and swam frantically towards the warship of the informant. The most terrifying thing was that several pirates on the deck peeled off some camouflage, revealing 3 small cannons. "Damn! Referee," he fouled. Xiaoming was scared. "This is not just a trap, this is a big pit. Run away quickly," and the warship retreated quickly. At the same time, the skeleton soldiers used strong crossbows to shoot with all their strength, forcing back those pirates who were still swimming hard without giving up. It was not until the warship of the informant withdrew from the battlefield far away that the pirates swam back reluctantly, and some were so tired that they needed help from others to swim back. Some of them sank directly to the bottom. After checking the damage, Xiaoming felt much better. Because the enemy didn't have time to fire, his ship was not hit. In the end, he was hit by dozens of arrows, but there was almost no damage. When the enemy attacked in large numbers, some of the troops were shot dead. But because they had eliminated more than 20 pirates as bait before, many were shot dead during the retreat, mainly because many of them were drowned after being shot. So after the battle, the troops who were summoned back barely made up for the loss. The combat effectiveness did not decrease too much. As the saying goes, a gentleman's revenge is never too late. Xiaoming is not a gentleman, Xiaoming, just a loser. Xiaoming really didn't want revenge. He thought that an anchored ship appeared on the 0-1 level map. This is an opportunity. Although the pirates are strong, at least more than 200. The ship is at least a mid-level ship, much larger than the ship of the deceased. But the pirates must find a way, and they will definitely be finished if they continue to waste. The pirates are not repairing the ship, probably because the conditions do not allow it. The opponent's trap was not successful, so they stopped camouflaging. A large number of pirates were busy scooping out water to try to prevent the ship from sinking further. I don't know how long they have been holding on like this, and I don't know how long they can hold on. It seems that some pirates are shouting at the ship of the informant, but the informant ran too far away and couldn't hear it. Xiaoming analyzed it according to the ideas in the game. This is obviously an event, or a task. It is estimated that it is impossible to consume them until they die, and then the player will take advantage. In that case, just put resources on the water. So the player must do something. If nothing is done, the system should not arrange for the pirates to disappear. It is estimated that at a certain node, the ship will be repaired and attack the funnel village. What the player should do is to deepen the opponent's crisis and force the opponent to surrender or reach some agreement. This definitely depends on the extent of the player's ability. So what can you do now? Step up the construction of the city, accumulate troops, and prepare for the city defense battle? That's too conservative. Fight more, rely on summoning souls to improve military strength, and then deal with the pirates. That's a way. Xiaoming's cheating amulet of the dead will definitely work. But Xiaoming thinks there should be a faster way. He has a cheat code. Harassment tactics? This is possible. But the enemy has a cannon, which has a longer range than the crossbow skeleton soldiers. Simply harassing the enemy in this way is dangerous and inefficient. It will definitely work. After all, I have supplies from the rear. It is estimated that it is possible to wear the enemy to death. To be on the safe side, I still have to give myself a little bargaining chip. The cheat code must be used. Xiaoming started to try to make a cannon, but found that he couldn't do it. Although he knew the principle, it might be because he didn't have gunpowder. He tried to make it with superpowers, but it didn't work. Suddenly, a light bulb flashed in his mind. Hey! Cannons don't work, we can make crossbows. The train of thought opened up at once. In fact, if it is real, the materials are still insufficient. Xiaoming doesn't have tendons and glue. It's not so strict in the game. As a researcher of alchemy, he has never seen materials such as tendons and glue. Maybe it is not set in the game, or at least it is not used at low levels. Xiaoming finally made a bone trebuchet. Because crossbows are difficult to make, made of wood and bone, not only are their lethality limited, but they may also send materials to the opponent. The trebuchet is to throw stones, which is the most effective. It is a waste of ore resources. Only one catapult can be placed on the ship of the deceased, and the direction of the stone throwing is chosen to be straight ahead, which is to maintain the balance of the warship. One unit of ore resources can make 100 stone bullets. Enough. After preparation, try to throw a few times. Judge the distance. The warship moves sideways until it can just hit the pirate ship. One stone bullet after another is thrown at the pirate ship continuously. Because it is more fun, after playing the deceased twice, both generals came to play, and even the plot character vampire strongly requested to play twice. It is impossible to avoid the eyes of subordinates when using superpowers. The vampire also saw it. Xiaoming was angry and did not consider this. If he had considered it, he might not do this now, but finish the vampire's task and then go back to the city to make a catapult. Although the vampire saw it, he didn't care. He just thought that the deceased had a secondary profession of craftsman and didn't think too much. For Xiaoming, it is better to be careful. As the proficiency of several NPCs increased, the stones were thrown more and more accurately. The most accurate one was the vampire. Maybe it was because he often flew, so he had a deeper understanding of parabolas. The damage caused by the stones became more and more serious, and the enemy's hull gradually disintegrated. The pirates were driven crazy. When the bows and cannons could not hit the dead, they even directly killed some pirates and used the corpses as the foundation to raise the cannons and archers. I hope they can shoot farther. But the distance is still too far, and there is no hope of success. This time, victory finally came to the dead. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 47. The pirates raised the white flag and waved their hands desperately. Xiaoming didn't dare to believe this, but the system prompted, "A pirate army succumbed to your force and announced its surrender to you. Please choose whether to accept." The system prompt should not be wrong, right? The informant chose to accept. If it were not for such a special situation, this army would have almost no chance of surrendering. More importantly, this is a plot in the game. After the informant accepted the surrender of the pirates, there was another choice. First, conquer the pirates as direct subordinates. Players will get 83 first-level pirate sailors, 30 first-level pirate swordsmen, 44 second-level pirate crossbowmen, and 1 pirate general. The enemy hero will commit suicide to defend his honor. 1 general and 79 pirates will commit suicide. Second, conquer the pirates as a subordinate force. The loyalty of the pirate force is temporarily 70. The pirate force has 1 pirate hero, 2 pirate generals, and 236 1-4 pirate arms. However, players are not allowed to split the pirate forces, and all pirate generals and troops are commanded by the pirate hero. Players can only specify the development direction for their pirate forces, and collect a certain percentage of tribute money. The current ratio is 50% of the pirate's monthly income. It's okay to die in the war, but it's not good to die like this. Let's just keep the forces under your command. Xiaoming thinks it's acceptable. System prompt: congratulations to the player hero for reporting the dead, and you have obtained a naval force under your command, Drunkard Navy. Navy Commander, 2nd level purple hero Drunkard's Home Leak. Navy Generals, real pot-boiled horses, first level blue generals, a box of dates, first level green generals. Naval forces, 236 pirates. Details omitted. Pirates and the Navy are actually not much different. The dead are organized, and the final boss is the undead force, so the pirates belonging to him will naturally become the Navy. No wonder he would rather commit suicide than surrender. This is the system that doesn't allow it. Now if the player has a second level purple hero, what's the matter? Xiaoming secretly thought that he was lucky. If he had a strong desire for control, he would probably only have one level 1 green general. That would be a pity. Xiaoming had no time to be happy after conquering a naval force. He was faced with problems. The pirate's ship was damaged by himself and is now sinking. If it cannot be saved, only a few naval high-ranking officers can be saved. The system is constantly digging holes. Under normal circumstances, the player needs to bring several ships of troops to conquer this pirate, and then some battle damage, so that at least most of the pirates can be taken away. Xiaoming swallowed an elephant with a snake, and the problem came. Those pirates all looked tragic. There was no time to return to the city and come back. But how could Xiaoming be stumped by this situation? Xiaoming came to the pirate's ship, took out the wood resources from the cabin, and used his superpowers to repair it. This ship is a medium-sized Chinese sailing ship, which is a bit large. Xiaoming cannot repair it all at once, and has to repair it one place at a time. In this process, Neza's Type 6 auxiliary mechanical arm really helped a lot. It greatly improved Xiaoming's efficiency. When the sailboat was presented to the drunkard navy again, the deck dropped its jaw. The loyalty of the drunkard navy was directly at 10. The navy must look up to people who can play with boats. The crisis was resolved, and the drunkard invited the deceased, Han Dong and Katagiri, to the captain's room of the sailboat. 2 generals of the navy also accompanied them. First of all, 50% of the property must be donated. This pirate group has saved a lot of money. They actually donated 5,000 gold coins. It is equivalent to the task reward. Xiaoming didn't think about the money when he saw it. For a pirate group, it is very embarrassing to have only this little money left. Brother Jigui first reported the situation of the navy to the deceased. The drunkard pirate group was originally very strong. Due to a sudden attack by an unknown maritime force, it was almost wiped out. Only this little military force was preserved. Driving the last warship and taking the family's property along the river to this lake, he fled. Prepare to make a comeback. Who knew that there would be a strong wind, and the boat was not in good condition to begin with, and now it was completely broken, which led to this situation. The most valuable thing in the drunkard's hand is a cornerstone for the construction of a pirate city. As long as you find an island to build a city, you can build the pirate force again. Some people in the original force who were scattered all over the place, mostly auxiliary personnel, will slowly come to the city. The strength is expected to recover. Xiaoming said that you are really unlucky. In fact, there is a small island in the south, the island in the lake. Although it is a bit far, you can dismantle the boat and swim over with the plank. It's a pity that you don't know. The system wants to say, nonsense, if they know, what's your business? In the script, they will know in the future, isn't this intercepted by you? The 3 naval commanders sighed and said that it is a blessing in disguise. Only in this way can they encounter the main announcement of the dead. This is all arranged by God. Well, the NPC's flattery skills are not weak. The drunkard couldn't wait a moment and immediately went to the island in the lake. The ship of the deceased also came with him. The drunkard navy arrived much earlier than the deceased. On the one hand, the medium-sized sailboats were faster, and on the other hand, Xiaoming also had to pick up resources on the water. When the deceased landed on the island in the middle of the lake, the drunkard city had been built. While building the city, the loyalty of the drunkard navy increased by 5. Of course, although it is a city, it was just a village when it was first built. There was only one meeting hall on the first day. But there is not much money left. Xiaoming's 5,000 gold coins are not warm in his pocket yet. Seeing this situation, he took them out again. Xiaoming knew that this was not the time to be stingy. He took out a total of 10,000 gold coins and half of the various resources, and gave them to the drunkard's family. The construction of the pirate city is now much more important than his own funnel village. Although both have one hero with 2 generals and some soldiers. The drunkard city is not directly under the dead report. But the drunkard navy has experience. The purple hero of the commander-in-chief is more worth looking forward to. In the game, investment will basically pay off. The loyalty of the navy is at 5 again. So on the first day that the drunkard navy joined the dead report, the loyalty of the navy was as high as 90. In addition, the drunkard's family also took out his private collection and asked the dead report to choose half of them at will. Most of the pirate leaders' collections are treasures and crafts, and there are also many good things. Xiaoming picked some antiques and some unique-looking crafts. He took about half of them. He picked 10 pieces of general equipment. About 1/3 of the total. He picked 30 pieces of soldier equipment. About 1/4 of the total. He took one of each of the blueprints and recipes. There were also some shipbuilding blueprints. One blueprint each of small, medium, and large Chinese sailing ships. One blueprint of a medium-sized Spanish square sailing ship. One blueprint of a small Arab ship. The drunkard didn't feel bad, he had several of each shipbuilding blueprint. The real good stuff was still behind. A scroll of pirate troop specialization. I didn't expect pirates to have such things. I found out after asking, ordinary pirates build cities. They still build ordinary cities of various races. They use ordinary troops to do pirate things. Only big pirates of his level would have a scroll of pirate troop specialization and build a city with all pirate troops. The drunkard used one when he built the city, and the deceased took another one, so there were still 3 left in his hand. Xiaoming really hopes that this is the scroll specializing in the skeleton army. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 48. Zhuguijialu finally offered the Tier 3 strategic equipment Poseidon Necklace. It can greatly increase the sea mobility. This equipment is very useful for the deceased. Not only useful. That is Tier 3 strategic equipment. How much would it cost if it was sold? How many cards can be obtained in Tony's store? Xiaoming was really shaken, even though he knew that it was killing the chicken to get the eggs. The mentality of the loser was still bubbling uncontrollably. It was not until he saw Jialu's face that he was reluctant to part with it that Xiaoming calmed down. Purple heroes are more valuable. Having made up his mind, Xiaoming used his superpowers on the Poseidon necklace. Because the Poseidon necklace is a component of the combination treasure ocean hat. So let's strengthen it and give it a try. The result is that it does have some of the characteristics of the combination treasure, such as getting on and off the ship no longer consumes mobility. In the original game, getting on and off the ship will consume the hero's mobility. Magic planets definitely cannot be like that, that is, there will be a certain consumption of mobility. Now, there is no consumption. At the same time, it can pass through the whirlpool without being hurt, and can use the ship summoning and ship destroying skills. It also greatly increases the field of vision at sea. The deceased did not choose to keep this thing for himself, but gave it to the person who can really make the most of this equipment Zhuguijia Le. In fact, Xiaoming does not use superpowers on everything, only where he feels the need. And this need is mostly based on mood. He did not strengthen things like water shoes, centaur battle axe, and medal of courage. There is no particularly complex and profound psychological activity, just don't want to strengthen everything, it's boring. There is not so much mental power. Jia Li was stunned when he saw the attributes of the Poseidon necklace after strengthening. Is my lord a god? Can he do such a thing? It's almost the same. No wonder such treasures are not used by themselves. Although the loyalty of the drunkard navy did not increase, the loyalty of the hero Jia Li was rising. According to the basic principle of the game that generally speaking, there is a reward for effort, Xiaoming quickly got the reward. The first level green general Zhai Yihe led 50 navy, pirates, and the medium-sized Chinese sailing ship that Xiaoming had repaired to join the direct troops of the deceased. Only then did Xiaoming know that heroes can lead a fleet. The hero's own ship is the flagship and leads the entire fleet. Other ships must be commanded by generals. Without a general, the ship cannot be started. The general can only move within a certain range of the flagship when driving the ship, and cannot run around by himself. The hero's troops can only board one ship and cannot be dispersed to multiple ships. Unless the hero is divided into teams and is no longer the same troop, then they can board different ships. As for the ship given to the deceased, what should the drunkard navy do? With money and resources, build a dock in the city and build it yourself. Although you may only be able to build small boats at the beginning. This matter is not difficult for the navy. Besides, after wandering on the sea and lake for so long, the navy still wants to rest for 2 days. Tell the dead to number the ships in your hands first: Funnel Village Ship Number 1, Primary Bone Ship, Funnel Village Ship Number 2, Medium Chinese Sailboat. Ship Number 2 is temporarily given to Zhai Yihe to drive. And send Han Dong's swordsman troops to Ship Number 2. Why don't you use the good ship yourself? A medium-sized Chinese sailboat can carry a 1,000 capacity unit. It's a waste to give it to yourself. Look at Zhai Yihe's data. Level 10 Green Elite, Naval Swordsman. Racial Talent, Naval Swordsman, Passive, Intermediate. Intermediate Naval Swordsman. The Naval Swordsman troops led by him have Attack add 4, Defense add 4, Speed add 2, and Life add 20. Occupational Talent, Navigation, Primary Passive, Offense, Primary Passive, Leadership, Primary Passive, Artillery, Primary Passive. Primary Navigation, increase the hero's sea mobility by 50%, and temporarily increase the hero's attack and defense by 1 during naval battles. Primary Offense, strengthen the damage of melee physical attacks by 10%. Primary Leader, command troops morale add 1. Morale can slightly increase attack power, and there is a certain chance to attack again. Primary Artillery, increase the number of attacks of the general's war machine by 1. The upper limit of command power reaches 660. Leading 31st level Navy sailors and 21st level Navy swordsmen. Strategic attributes, 6, 3, 1, 2. Based on his artillery skills, this medium-sized warship must be given to him. Because the medium-sized warship has 2 cannons, 1 bow cannon. There is a small amount of ammunition. This cannon needs a box of dates to be effective. The Navy has a base, and the cannon cannot be built for the time being, but there are still people who can make ammunition. You can come to Jigui City to replenish it at any time. The same is true for naval forces and ships. You can come to Jigui City to buy them with money. There is also a discount. With 2 ships and a medium-sized ship, you can finally call yourself a fleet. Xiaoming himself likes games such as sailing and naval battles. Now I can say that I got what I wanted. It's just that God never gives me the chance, and I only have a little mobility left. Now I can't enjoy going out. In addition, a quarter of an hour ago, Mao Moer sent a message to Xiaoming. He said that there was something going on in the Chu galaxy, and asked him if he wanted to go and take a look. He had just been there yesterday, and he said that he needed to detect the situation in the inner star system, and there was no need to run around. He was driven back. Xiaoming thought that it would take a while to detect. Even if it was a rough detection, it would take some time. Why did something happen today? This kind of thing must not be missed. It's just right to put the deceased in the drunkard city. It will recover its mobility faster. There's no need to send intelligent programs, and there are none on hand. I should buy one later. I'll go to World to see what's going on. Back to the personal space, the first thing is to ask Mao Mao to buy the lowest level intelligent program Xiaowuer. This kind of program can only do the most basic things and can only get 5% experience. It costs several thousand yuan. Xiaoming, feeling distressed, directly connected to the Chu Galaxy. Chu Galaxy, sheltered zone, on the asteroid. The 8 exploration robots have cleverly buried themselves on the surface. They are sneaking around in secret and I don't know what they are doing. Looking around, I can see nothing is going on. Check the records of the detector. There are images of Zerg creatures passing by. There are not many times, and only 2 species are recorded for the time being. One is small like a squid, and the other is large like a jellyfish. Let's call them squid worms and jellyfish worms. The skin color of these 2 insects is dark red or brown. The surface is also a bit rough, not as smooth as the real squid jellyfish. They all have streamlined bodies, with many flexible tentacles extending from the back, and they change their direction of travel by jetting from the tip of the tentacles. The head of the jellyfish worm is round like a jellyfish, and the head of the squid worm is pointed. The attack form of the jellyfish worm is not recorded. The squid worm sprays a dark red phlegm-like substance from the tip of the head. The composition and power cannot be analyzed for the time being, and Xiaoming can only guess that this is probably its means of attack. The squid worm seems to be a patrol soldier, always flying in a group of 6. The number of times it is seen is relatively high. The jellyfish worm only appears occasionally, and each time it appears, it is guarded by 6-12 squid worms. Is it a captain level? After reading the record carefully again, Xiaoming had to ask Mao Moer. Mao Moer, what happened? Why can't I see it? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 49. Brother Ming, 2 pieces of news, one big and one small. Which one do you want to hear first? Mao Moer, this is such an old joke, not many people play it now. Oh, is that so? Mao Moer seemed to understand, then which one do you want to hear first? Unconsciously scolding people, artificial intelligence is still the best. Let's talk about the big one first. According to the collected data, the farthest star that can be detected here is 33.9 billion light-years away. What? Xiaoming was shocked. You should know that on Pangu star, the Big Bang occurred about 13.8 billion years ago. The farthest celestial body that can be seen will not exceed this distance. 33.9 billion years ago, the universe of Pangu star did not exist. In other words, the Yanhuang tri-star system is not in the universe where Pangu star is. The space-time gate outside the solar system does not connect 2 different locations in the same universe, but 2 different universes. This is a major discovery in astrophysics. The New Han Kingdom must have known it a long time ago, but it just didn't announce it. After being shocked, Xiaoming realized that this discovery had nothing to do with him. Moreover, scientists have long predicted the existence of multiple universes. It's not surprising. Xiaoming took a breath. Mao Mao, tell me more about that little news. A probe I sent out found an insect egg on an asteroid 300 kilometers away and brought it back. As he spoke, a storage device popped out from the wall of the probe. Inside was a frozen cylindrical sealed reinforced plastic box with a football-sized ball in it. At first glance, it was obvious that it was an egg of some creature. Given that there were only Zerg here, it was reasonable to preliminarily speculate that it was an insect egg. After the probe sent out got it, Mau Mau immediately froze it and isolated it from external signals. Then it flew back to the asteroid. This may not actually have any effect. Considering that the egg was placed so casually, Mau Mau didn't think the Zerg attached much importance to this egg. The egg is probably just an ordinary member of the Zerg. What should I do with this thing? Send a probe to the troops here, Xiao Ming expressed his doubts. No, Brother Ming, Mau Moer had an idea. I think you can try to use your superpowers on it and try to infiltrate your consciousness into it. What will happen then? I don't know, I just think it's worth a try. Xiao Ming thought about it and thought that it would have no effect at most, so he just handed in the eggs. This time it was a good try. Xiao Ming's consciousness followed his superpowers and easily integrated into the eggs. And completely occupied the eggs. The Zerg embryos that had not yet hatched in the eggs did not even resist at all. Some of the Zerg's instinctive genetic consciousness was also accepted by Xiao Ming. This instinctive consciousness is very simple, all actions are under command, and the command will be directly transmitted to the Zerg's brain. This race seems to have telepathy and other abilities. It does not rely on smell, movement, etc., but only on the mind to transmit consciousness. It feels so powerful. I am going to master new skills again. Then immediately joy turns to sorrow, because Xiao Ming found that he couldn't get out. In the past, he relied on quantum communication to control the detector, which was still at the technological level. Now that he occupied the insect egg, it was equivalent to having his own body in the Chu galaxy. In terms of compatibility or priority, this insect egg surpassed the detector. Naturally, he couldn't go back. There was no sound or light around the egg. It was pitch black and silent. In this situation, which normal person could stand it? Xiao Ming also quickly estimated his general situation. In his mind, he tried hard to think about quitting. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he had returned to his personal space. Mau Moer was of course there, and he had no problem doing 8 things at the same time. The two brothers understood after a conversation. Mau Moer was indeed. It was estimated that Xiao Ming had the ability to occupy the bodies of the Zerg and assimilate their consciousness. However, it was not estimated that the environment that artificial intelligence could withstand might not be tolerated by humans. Humans do not like the silent and colorless world in the insect eggs. They will go crazy if they stay there for a long time. Fortunately, Xiao Ming did not encounter any difficulty in exiting. As long as he thought about exiting, he would be fine. Otherwise, I really don't know what to do. Back in the personal space, Xiao Ming and Mau Moer discussed and decided to send the insect eggs back to their original location. It's useless to put them in the detector. When Xiao Ming logs in here again, he can only be in the insect eggs. He can't do anything. He must wait until the eggs hatch. Then send them back. Mau Moer knows the location and can monitor them remotely. No need to move other hands and feet. After hatching, Xiao Ming's consciousness can log in and have a Zerg body. Infiltrate the enemy. In other words, not only Xiao Ming did not regard the Zerg as an enemy, but also the new Han military. Just as a sparring partner for mutual practice. This insect egg inspired Xiao Ming. The game is fun, and there are many interesting things in the new galaxy. The Yan Emperor galaxy here seems to be making trouble. The login platform lights up and then goes out, and then goes out and lights up again. That is, there are constantly soldiers and creatures being activated, dying, reactivated, and dying again. This shows that the battle over there is fierce. For this kind of passionate battle that makes people sacrifice their lives, Xiao Ming is not interested and does not want to participate at all. Specifically to experience death? No need. Logged in Xiao Ming and came to Huangdi Galaxy. Leave the game room and put on the military uniform over the hero suit. Xiao Ming wants to know if there is anything interesting here. This was the third day after everyone woke up from hibernation, and many team members had the same idea. Among the team members I saw along the way, 2 or 3 were carrying electronic pets. Young people are quick to keep up with the times. After asking around, Xiaoming also bought a random electronic pet bracelet. The pets inside were naturally replaced by Fluffy. The space fleet is different from the large population of Pangaea. If an electronic pet appears out of thin air, it will definitely be discovered. Occasionally, when you meet friends, just chat for a while and let the electronic pets make noise together. Contacted the team leader Joe Ben, and the two met in the observation room. There is also another team member in the observation room looking at the scenery. It is not a secret thing for Xiaoming, so there is no need to hide from people. Xiaoming asked the captain if there were any activities or tasks on the transport ship that could be carried out. I really want to go outside and have a look. The team members have all learned how to operate a general small single-person spacecraft. Captain Joe was a little surprised and told Xiaoming, "There are currently no tasks. Even if there is, I would not dare to let novices do it. But if you want to go out, you can apply. You can fly the lowest level spacecraft with safety protection procedures, and go out and move around the transport ship. Everyone has to fly a spaceship sooner or later. Even if Xiaoming does not ask, the fleet will be organized after a while." Xiaoming immediately applied with enthusiasm and was immediately approved by the captain. It is the first time to manually drive a spaceship, which is more realistic. When we were in the Chu galaxy, we all relied on conscious operation. It feels more like playing a game. In order to prevent accidents, Captain Joe also came out with him this time. Both of them were driving the most common manned space probes. A glass egg-like cockpit equipped with thrusters and 2 mechanical arms. That's about all. He couldn't walk far away, he just simply walked around the transport ship. After returning, Captain Joe said that Xiaoming's operation was very good and he would not need to escort him next time. Manual operation of the spacecraft will also be assisted by a computer. Not the completely manual kind. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 50. Back on the transport ship, there were several team members waiting at the door. Xiaoming thought, I just drove the spaceship, so I don't need fans to pick me up. Vomit. In the end, everyone came to find Captain Joe. The reason is naturally envy, jealousy, and hatred. Xiaoming ran out to drive the spaceship to play, and when the news spread, he attracted countless red eyes. Instructor Li Na was in the game and couldn't be found. Everyone had to wait for Captain Joe here. It's not that no one paid attention to Xiaoming, Gu Weiner was waiting for him. Although she didn't show any envy or praise. She just simply asked about the feeling and experience of driving. Xiaoming still thinks that the girl is really a good person. Otherwise, I would be embarrassed. It would be better if there was a little fangirl. This buddy started to YY again. Gu Weiner shouldn't pay attention to him. After chatting for a few words, classmate Gu also went to find the captain. He just came to collect information. Xiaoming returned to the game cabin and returned to his personal space. Malmoer has newly loaded a secret realm minigame Finger Flick Magic for him to play. It's a shooting game with shooting targets. But there are no guns, and players can only use their fingers to flick coins to hit the target. Is this a game designed to cultivate rich people? While playing, Xiaoming thought about entering a secret realm to play. It can be seen that the nine-tailed fox gave Xiaoming so many characters, and the development of the characters is mainly supported by the intelligent program. Xiaoming himself occasionally went there to do something fancy to speed up the progress. Then the intelligent program continued to follow up. If he was only given one character to cultivate, he would not be able to achieve any great results. Instead, it is easy to get aesthetic fatigue and feel bored. This multi-character situation is more suitable for Xiaoming. Before he got bored, he changed the role. It can be seen that the nine-tailed fox is still smart. After all, it was an artificial intelligence of advanced alien civilization 1.5 million years ago. Frequent entry into secret realms is something that only a cheat like Xiaoming can do so easily and unimpeded. While flicking coins, walking on the country road. The village in the distance looked very poor and old. The people here live in poverty. Everyone looks like a farmer, and their clothes are also very shabby. This secret realm seems to be meaningless. Xiaoming was a little discouraged. Suddenly, a beast-like monster jumped out of the jungle, and pounced on Xiaoming with a bloody mouth. Xiaoming has been fighting monsters for several days, and he is not afraid of this. Neza on his right arm immediately turned into an iron rod with a sharp front. He poked it casually, and the monster's head was pierced directly. It was really dead, hanging on the iron rod. Neza transformed and retracted, returning to the appearance of an arm guard. The monster fell into dust. Xiaoming himself did not realize that after assimilating some of the Zerg's instincts, he was a different person. The animal instinct was more acute, and he was more calm about killing. This was not just because of the game. Xiaoming's headache now was another thing. The monster was beaten, but there was no experience. There was no use for this corpse. The monster looks disgusting. Xiaoming didn't want to grill it, so he tried to use death harvest and corruption. It really worked, harvesting some death breath and bones. It's in his inventory. Yes, there are still 20 slots in the inventory. Is this a secret realm in the game? Xiaoming muttered to himself. After entering the village and communicating with the villagers, he learned some simple situations. After all, they are all farmers and don't know much. I only know that there are monsters in this world. Those monsters can turn into human form and eat human organs for a living. But ordinary people can't beat monsters. They can only ask for help from some female warriors with giant swords on their backs. They are called big swords. The reason why they can fight monsters is that they are mixed with the flesh and blood of monsters in their bodies, and they have obtained extraordinary power. From the tone of the villagers, you can feel it. Although the villagers need these female swordsmen, they are also afraid of them and reject them. Xiaoming is so fed up. He doesn't stand up to protect himself, but has to rely on others. Others saved you, but you still reject them. Ungrateful, you cross the river and burn the bridge. You beat the monk after chanting the sutra, and you scold the cook after you are full. Xiaoming has no good feelings for these people. It is unnecessary for those knights to save such people. Xiaoming thinks this is a martial arts game. I thought the big sword was a knight. And they are all female swordsmen. Could it be a welfare world? That kind of secret realm is impossible. When you are pretending to be serious, please wipe the saliva from your mouth. Xiaoming's positioning of the secret realm is obviously wrong. Of course, there is no need to worry about him. He has no habit of seeking death. And if he dies, it is nothing more than exiting the secret realm and coming back next time. Disappointed with the villagers, Xiaoming packed up some things and left the village. The system did not set up relatives for him. His identity is still just a blacksmith. His body is just that of an ordinary person, and the only strong one is Neza. It is actually quite dangerous to travel alone. Not to mention the strongest ones, Southern Cat, Northern Horse, and Western Lolita, he is no match for even the slightly stronger demons. But this is not a suicide ploy. There are just more people in the village who become targets, distracting the demons. There is no real guarantee. The instinct of the Zerg to dominate the animal world also affects him to a certain extent. Xiaoming was wearing coarse cloth clothes, leaning on the iron staff that Neza had transformed into with one hand, and playing the game of finger-snapping magic with the other hand. He was carrying a small cloth bag. The food was just hard bread and water. Inexplicably, he felt a little like an ascetic monk. And not only that. Xiaoming did some experiments. The magic in the game Magic Planet can really be used here. There is no attribute panel here, and it is impossible to judge how much mana is used. It's okay as long as it can be used. There are actually 3 0-level spear and shield skeleton soldiers lurking in the bushes around Xiaoming, moving with him. Xiaoming can also convert the iron staff into a crossbow at any time. Killed 7 monsters along the way. 4 wild wolves. Anyway, there is no hurry to travel, so let's really do barbecue. No skills are needed. Of course, it's barbecue wild wolves, not monsters. It's a pity that the female swordsman did not attract him as he expected. Novels are all lies. Xiaoming quit the game angrily. He was caught by the fat man Zhang Wen, who had been waiting for a long time at the game cabin. I took Xiaoming with me to attend a friend's wedding. There were several friends of Zhang Wen at the wedding. It turned out that they had come to the wedding for a meeting. Several friends were playing Magic Planet, and some of them were professional masters. Several people were optimistic about the development prospects of Magic Planet and discussed setting up a studio together. Xiaoming said that Magic Planet itself was not looking for money, and it would be much more difficult for you to make a future. These people decided to set up a Magic Dragon AOTN studio. Recruit some professional players to play games. This was the third day of the game, and there were not many people playing. There was still time to lay the foundation and make money. Zhang Xiaoming was represented by Zhang Wen to join. Of course, he only played games at home. He did not go to work in the studio. I really don't think the studio has a good future. They dared to use a name like XX Long AOT and that attracts hatred. Just wait for bad luck.